pneumonia and a boogie-woogie flu. Monster loving, baby, that ain't all. I wanna kiss a bunch of gals.
There's no intro.
No,
Never has been.
never will be. That's our signature.
Some say, the old ones say of a time when there was an intro.
Oh,
But they went on the ice floe last week. And so we don't have to accept that as our truth.
that's right.
I think ancient peoples were worried about their truth, speaking their truth.
I think they were worried about survival mostly.
I don't know. According to that documentary I saw on Apple Plus called See, it's really important to speak your truth and to read on-the-nose sci-fi books.
Yeah.
I don't even remember. I've totally forgotten because there was a whole debacle. Didn't that get pushed back or something? Anyway, the point is they read some... Oh, I think it was 1984, right?
I can't remember
Which
now.
doesn't even
It was
apply.
something on the... Yeah.
It
was
doesn't even
something on the
apply
nose,
to their
yeah.
situation.
No,
They're
not
living
really.
in a post-apocalyptic world that has returned to like an
nature.
agrarian society,
Right.
Because everybody has lost the ability to see,
Right.
except for these kids who are born to presumably Jason Momoa, right? Who
Yeah.
old enough to have teenage kids, 20-something kids.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, why not? You'd gram up a little bit, so they've confined the last moldering paperbacks, which must have been vacuum sealed because they look great, and they're reading 1984, and it's like that's not how any of this works.
I have a couple questions.
Plus, you need so much context. You were growing up in caveman times, essentially, even though it's 2289 or whatever.
Right.
1984 is going to make no sense to you whatsoever. It is
No.
social commentary for which you have no social to understand the commentary.
But like,
Give them Dick and Jane and watch them flip out.
But like, so supposedly their society,
Oh,
their
man,
culture
we're talking
has
about
been.
C.
Sorry, you started it. Has not been able to see for a very, very long time.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Generations and generations, right? So who like saved these?
Who's holding on to the books?
Yes.
I don't know.
And why don't they have Braille books? Why do they have books with like printed Roman words in them? Or Romanized Latin, I don't know what the right way to say this
Can I
is.
ask you a question?
Yeah.
What the hell are you talking about?
Why are there printed words that aren't Braille in this book?
Are you-
Why are they saving it if they can't read it?
I don't think anybody saved it. I think they just stumbled upon a cache of old books or something like that. Because that's what happens. I don't know. Look, that's what there's no world building other to say, that in the before times or something like that. It was said that people, had five senses or whatever. I don't think that I didn't watch it, and it's created by Stephen Knight, who, remember, if you like Daredevil,
guy? Yeah.
if you like Daredevil, remember that Drew Goddard made that show, and then he left to
That's
go
true.
direct Spider-Man or whatever, and then he
Right.
lost that job, and it was like, shit.
Right.
So Stephen Knight, the guy who I think he co-created Taboo, with
I like Taboo.
with Tom Hardy. Yeah, but I mean, anyway. So not one of these like, wow, you're punching way above your weight TV creators that we have, which is pretty much every TV creator. What is wrong with TV today?
I don't know.
We're in the fool's gold age of television.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? See. So anyway, but is there enough of a backstory? Did everybody go blind overnight? I guess that would lead to a collapse in society,
Yeah,
right?
I
Or
don't
was
know.
it gradual? Because there's a movie called Blindness. Don't watch it. It's not. I don't think it's Inarritu, but it's some like Spanish filmmaker who does not. It's not good. But
Okay.
anyway, Julianne Moore and Mark Ruffalo live in a world where people are like gradually going blind, but
Okay.
not gradual enough that it's not like they're all rushing a Gelson's or something like that. Like there is panic in the society and things kind of go bad. And anyway, it's not a good movie. But in C, if they all went blind overnight, sure, there's stacks of paperbacks everywhere.
Okay, if they all went
If they
blind
started to go
overnight.
blind, the people who could see, who were, say, publishers, would then, start producing Braille books, right?
Right.
Trying to keep their business alive.
Right.
But C didn't think about that.
Well, I also want to know if the adults can't see, how are they teaching the young kids how to read words?
How do they know how to read at all? That is
Yes.
a great, great question.
Right?
They must have found a primer along with all the other
Something.
books and the British Second World War period
Right.
social commentary.
Right, along with like English textbooks, because like the English language is incredibly difficult to learn.
Not really.
Well, I guess they can speak it, right?
Yeah, they all speak.
Yeah, they just need to know like this
they need
letter
to
goes
match
with this sound.
the sounds
Yeah.
to the letters.
Right.
And I'm not saying it would happen overnight. God, I wish we'd watch C instead of what I picked. But because of you've gone first like the last dozen times. But
Do you
because
think
of
it makes sense?
well, it's because of the structure of today's show, which I wavered on a point. I'm fairly decisive.
You are?
But I think the effect of being that decisive and also being conscientious and deferring to other people is that I get a Subway Club card of decisions, and when I fill up my card, I have a moment of personal doubt. And I hit a moment of personal doubt where I was like, we could go through with this. We don't have to. Throw it to you, the person who can't decide whether to open her eyes in the morning. And you were like, and then I was like, okay, we're going for it. And now we've got the show that we've got. But we had a way out, but you didn't stand up. First, they came for Brian De Palma movies.
Oh my gosh.
And you said nothing.
Don't put this all on me. That's not fair.
Super conscientious, deferring. Demurring. How you defer to somebody if you are demurring to somebody. Put that in your C and look at it.
Gonna sniff the whole show.
What movie did you pick?
I picked.
You didn't pick it.
Well,
We weren't talking about that.
well,
It was on your list. Look, I've learned. We're doing this show, and I'm going to do the whole thing because I've learned to never ask you for advice ever again.
I don't appreciate that at all, Mister.
Come on, we're running out of time.
Okay, I guess I will just get going and tell you what
Jeez.
I picked.
Oh,
Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, which I had never seen before, and knew what it was basically about. And
good, because then you can listen to me say it. You
Yeah.
can double check my facts.
Yeah.
When I do that.
yeah,
Probably right now.
go for it.
Marion Crane works in a real estate agent's office in Phoenix, Arizona. She's having an affair, but it's not an affair. She's not married, with a guy who's divorced, but it's still illicit in 1960. She gets fed up. There's a large cash transaction that happens just as the weekend is beginning in her office, and she decides she's going to take that money. She takes it. She gets out of town. She's going to go meet him in L.A. where he lives. She makes a really good time. Some things happen. She begins to worry that this is the wrong idea, and that's when she finds the Bates Motel off the highway. She decides to stay there. She talks to the caretaker or the desk manager, and a conversation.
Norman Bates.
Yeah, a guy named Norman Bates. See, what if you played like the movie and you didn't like telegraph the whole thing, right? That's what I was trying to do. But then you come in, Norman Bates, like that murderous kid in that TV show on AMC. What if you just let me finish this part? She has a heart-to-heart with the desk manager that convinces her to change her mind. And before bed, a quick shower. See how that would have been so great. And she's stabbed to death by a mysterious figure. Norman discovers her body, freaks out, but isn't that freaked out. And he quickly covers it all up.
Yeah.
Cut to a couple days later, we meet Lila Crane, her sister, and also her hunky boyfriend. And they are trying to figure out where Marion is. Martin Balsam shows up. He's a guy named Arbogast. He's a private detective. And he at first suspects them, but then they all decide to work together to find out what happened to Marion. Eventually, he finds the Bates Motel. He braces Norman. It's clear that something's going on with Norman. So he calls the pair and says, I'll call you back, but there's this Bates Motel. He goes to check out the big spooky old house where Norman's mother lives. He is stabbed to death by a mysterious figure. You're going to hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Then Lila and John Line decide to go up and check out the Bates Motel.
Yeah, I think his name is Sam.
Sam.
Yeah.
And they kind of boringly talk to the neighbors, and the third act's not great. But then it turns out, oh my God, the mother's been dead the whole time, and Norman is wearing her dress and wearing a wig and stabbing people to death. and drowning their cars in the swamp behind the house.
Yep.
And then a psychiatrist comes in, and he tells us everything we just saw. The end.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
How many times has this happened? Because let's just talk about my movie. I don't want to do these together, but we'll just say that, I picked the 1980 Brian De Palma film, Dressed to Kill, which I'd never seen, and didn't know anything about.
Right.
Except that it was, like a lurid murder mystery type thing.
Right.
We start watching it. A policewoman is having an affair, and we get 25 minutes in, and I go, stop the movie. We need to stop the movie. This is Psycho.
At which point I turn to you and say, it's on my list. And you're
I
like,
go, we're going to watch Psycho.
Yeah.
Now, we've done that a couple times. Oh, that's the of I don't know what you're talking about.
What are you talking about?
We started watching something that like referenced Pulp Fiction, and then you're like, well, I haven't seen Pulp Fiction. And I'm like, stop the movie. We went out to a Blockbuster. This was a while ago. I bought the movie on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
We brought it back. We watched Pulp Fiction. Then we finished whatever that movie was.
Can't
There was the
remember what
time
that
that
other
we
movie
watched
was.
The Transporter. And the third act of The Transporter is Jason Statham doing the truck chase from Indiana Jones. And I was like, this is the truck chase from Indiana Jones. I haven't seen Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Stopped the movie, watched Raiders of the Lost Ark, finished The Transporter. This is... You need to name this maneuver like the Picard maneuver, because I've done this more than a few times.
The Mika maneuver? I don't know.
Why is it your maneuver?
Oh.
It's my maneuver.
The Cal maneuver.
When you grab the joystick, it can be your maneuver.
Okay.
So anyway, that's what happened here. And it wasn't until we had completed, I mean, I'd seen Psycho a million times, but we'd finished that, and then we finished Dressed to Kill, and I also did a little cheating. We don't cheat often, but I cheated a little bit, and I'm like, yeah, that's what he was trying to do. He just made a crappier Psycho.
Right.
So let's talk about the good Psycho.
What?
Then we'll talk about the bad one.
Okay.
I think I should mention, while you're gathering your thoughts, that for a movie that is 60 years old this year,
Yeah.
and Licensed to Kill, it will be 40 years old this year.
Uh-huh.
One of the most famous twists of all time,
For
one
Psycho.
of the biggest
Yeah.
cinematic secrets behind perhaps only Luke, I Am Your Father. You were in the whole time.
I was.
Up until that fruit cellar, you had no idea.
You are absolutely correct about that.
I think that's amazing. And I should have filmed you watching the movie. Like how these psychotic parents now are filming their kids, watching Darth Vader saying, Luke, I'm your father.
Oh, really? I wasn't
Weird
aware of that.
fetishistic
That's
thing.
weird.
Let your kid live their lives. They're going to hate you.
Like,
they're
you
going
can-
to they're going to throw your Blade Runner gun on the roof for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, why don't you just, observe their reaction instead of filming it and putting it on the internet?
It's like, or people filming their girlfriends watching the Red Wedding or whatever.
I don't...
I
I haven't seen any of these videos, and I
Really?
do not care to.
still don't know what you do on the internet.
Yeah, well, not that.
You don't want to leave it like that. You want to tell us what you do, because now we're just wondering what you do. You want not that.
I don't know. I go on Facebook. Leave me alone. I read articles. Leave me alone.
She's been like this all day. The antagonism is, come on, it's energy. It's, sparks.
Yeah. Anyways.
Psycho.
Yeah, Psycho. So, before the twist is revealed, I was thinking, wow, because there's a lot of weird things that happen to Marion at the beginning, right?
Uh-huh.
And she's recounting things that she's observed, but she's imagining things too, right? That conversations people are having about her that she hasn't overheard or anything.
She's the psycho.
Well, she seems like she's a little unstable. Not like she's necessarily, very much so, but she seems a little unstable. So I was like, huh. And then we learn a little bit more about Norman. And I don't think they really, really were pushing in this film that the fact that he likes to do taxidermy with birds is weird. And I'm not saying it's not weird, but I don't think it's like the weirdest hobby somebody could have. I mean, maybe in
I
the
don't think that they
1960s
are trying to push it that much.
Really? I thought that they were.
Oh, but who? Marion, look, she. I don't remember. What's the bad version of a dude?
What?
Look, I'm as much of a problem on this show as you are. There's a Chad, and then there's a what? It doesn't matter. I don't know what it's called, but he's the what? You know, he's the nerd.
Yeah.
And then there's, I don't remember what, a Barbie. I don't remember what the why do we take the right? Look, the right can meme. You know what I mean? That's why we take their stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so Stacy, she's a Stacy, and he's a whatever a Chad is.
Mm-hmm.
So she's not even thinking about it. She's like, oh, birds, that's weird. She's got
she's got serious problems.
yeah, she's like getting pumped by jawline, you know, and she's taking money. She's having like a life fear, you know.
Yeah,
she doesn't care about
I
his
know.
little hobby.
I know, that's true.
And then like the only thing that he really gets mad at or upset over is, you know, the idea that he would put his mother in
In a mental institution,
like that.
which I understand.
But up to that point, everything's going great. Like
That's
she's,
true.
You know,
That's true. I do think, and I understand why he would get upset by somebody suggesting something like that,
Do
especially
you?
somebody.
His
Yes.
mother is not real. She has been dead for 10 years.
I
saw
know,
it on
but
that TV show on AMC.
I know, but we don't know that yet
Right.
in this film.
Right. So that's clearly not his motivation. The motivation you're about to ascribe to him.
Right, but
Subscribe? I'll take a subscription.
anyways, the point I was trying to make is that
Make it better.
is that until it's revealed that Norman is his mother,
You
that
mean
his
the
mother
end of the
is
movie?
dead.
Yeah.
I was sitting there thinking, who's the psycho? Is it Marion? Is it Norman? Is it his mother?
Then it's like the titular psycho.
and then it's the end of the movie, and it's like, oh no, it's Norman.
There's only like 6 characters in this.
I know,
including the neighbors.
I know.
Who we didn't. Oh, and the psychiatrist.
Yeah, right.
Written by Robert Bloch, who was an author, famous author at the time, and I think he was a screenwriter, but a lot of his stuff was adapted. He's got a theme. His Star Trek episode was the one where Jack the Ripper was killing showgirls, and Scotty's got to figure out why.
Wow, great.
This, of course, was amazing title sequences by Saul Bass. And
oh my gosh, and
music
the music?
by Bernard Herrmann, yep. And there are
Music
stories.
is great.
There are stories that you should definitely look up that we're not going to get into because we don't try not to do that. Although I will say that I'm not sure. This might be the first time we ever see a toilet flush in American cinema, but I don't know.
I think you mentioned that. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Shocked everybody.
Yes,
Pretty racy for 1960.
it is. Shower scene.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like Janet Leigh's just in a bra for like
That's
half
true
of her
too.
screen time,
That's true.
and it was what am I trying to say?
I don't know.
They had color, but he didn't want to do it in color.
Mm-hmm.
So they did it black and white.
Okay.
That was still a choice you could make back then. I mean, you make it now, but
I mean, I think the blood going down the drain
oh no, you
would have
couldn't-
been way
you
more.
couldn't. He was able to have so much blood because it was black and white. I don't think you
Oh,
could have got away with
yeah,
that much blood.
That's a good point.
But who
That's a good
knows though?
point.
There were cowboy movies and other kind of movies that have blood.
But there
so.
is a substantial amount of blood. But when you were watching it, you were like, "Wow, she's really getting a lot of that in the tub," you know. For a brutal stabbing, it's not going all over the bathroom.
Yeah. One time he had a European stay at the hotel, and he was never able to kill her because she just,
Wow.
I had a shower before I left Europe.
Oh,
They have
stop
different.
it.
They have different habits.
Oh my god, that's
Right?
terrible.
Or like a hippie lady came, but she had one of those stones. It's just like a deodorant stone. And she's like, I'm probably fine. Little patchouli, and he's like, "What is this? We're just gonna take a shower."
I can only stab people when they're in the shower?
It's the
What?
cleanup's easier.
I guess. But he does kill the detective on the stairs, though. So my favorite part about it, though, like one reason, well, not my favorite part, but it took me so much longer. I know we don't actually see the mother's face until
no, we see her face.
well, at the very, very end, we see her corpse that he has creepily preserved, and I guess that's another reason
With the preserves.
With the fruit cellar. I mean, I think that's maybe another reason why he they decided that he was going to do taxidermy, right? Because he has the chemicals.
You're just watching the movie. You're like, is the money the psycho? Is the cop the psycho?
Oh, shut up.
Is the car salesman the psycho?
No, I was not. Jeez. But like,
there are a lot of great touches in this film. Stop talking.
Why are you telling me to stop talking?
I'll let you say whatever you want to do about Dressed to Kill, but this is the most famous, this is one of the best movies ever made. I need to make some points about this film.
Well,
so.
can I make some points too?
I don't know. You're kind of just wandering around and talking about, like, you know, her being stuffed.
Because you brought up that her face was seen.
If you're going to yell, lean back from the mic. Whose face was seen? Whose face was seen? I never talked about anybody's face.
The mother's
no, I never
face.
Said
that. I didn't get to
why
make
don't
the
we trade
point
off?
that I wanted to make.
Oh, well, you should have made it quicker. Why don't we trade off? There are some great touches in this script written by a guy who had written, I think, one script before this at that point, Joseph Stefano. And there's, great stuff. The movie commits 100% that Marion Crane is the protagonist of this film. It's
yes.
one of the things it's one of the greatest switches
yes.
that Brian De Palma tries to rip off in Dressed to Kill. And there's just the cowboy real estate guy. What a character. Thirsteroni? That's not a real thing. But anyway, but in that conversation, when right after she has this big, not really fight with Sam, she goes back to the office. Clearly she's, kind of upset, but she's just kind of pushing through it. And marriage, kids, and money are brought up in one kind of conversation.
Yes.
Innocently
right.
from all three characters,
Yeah.
All of these things contribute to her kind of snapping a little and going like, well, I'm taking that money. And I'm going to get this life that I want.
Yeah.
There's things like that all over the script that I think are really great. There are some things like, I feel like we're the same person, or every best friend's mother is his son, or whatever. Doesn't make sense. And it's a lot of stuff that's kind of like ho 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 ho, but it's not, because the movie has no intention of letting you know anything until the end.
Yeah.
And all you can do is just watch the movie again and go, oh, man, it's kind of right there in front of you the entire time.
Right.
You're the one that assumed that, the lady was real, like in the house.
I did.
Not you. I mean, you, the audience.
Oh, the audience. Yeah.
Jeez. Now say your point. See, we trade off. You can have 5 minutes.
Sorry, I yelled.
All day. All day.
Anyways, I don't think that's necessary. I really
I've been like
don't.
this all day. I get offended when people are offended by me. Go ahead.
All I was going to say is one thing that led me to believe that his mother was real is they have conversations with each other.
Yeah.
But he's doing both of the voices somehow.
If you told me that Anthony Perkins did all those voices, and I'm not sure that he did.
I don't
believe
think he
you,
did.
because
right.
Anthony Perkins, man, where'd they find this kid?
Has he been? I haven't seen him in anything else.
No, he was typecast as a psycho. He's been in Psychos 2 through 8 or whatever. Like that's all he's ever done.
Are you serious? There's more than one. I didn't know there was more
How
than one.
How do you think they got to Bates Motel? Yes,
I
of
don't
course.
know.
There was a series with Bud Cort in the 1980s, and Lori Petty and Jason Bateman. When Jason Bateman plays this world-weary, cynical guy, that's not a put-on. It's all the failed TV shows that he's been in and all the movies that have grossed zero. Anyway, Anthony Perkins is fire. He is so good in this.
He is fantastic,
and he's doing this.
He should be in more. He should have been in more stuff.
Yeah, he's doing this thing. Maybe just stage. I don't know. He's doing this thing where you get this, in these movies where, and we've watched old movies. We've seen this a little bit, but the acting style starts to get more natural. By the time you get to the 70s, it's like I don't know. It's like that naturalistic style that drives Uta Hagen crazy. But
right.
But it's just. There are things going on in his head.
Yes.
And and don't get me wrong, like Janet Leigh is great.
She is.
Vera Miles is great. I've never appreciated her so much as this time when I watched it.
Lillian, her sister?
Yeah.
Okay.
Little bit of Jenna Malone.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that?
Yeah, you did mention that while we were watching it. Yeah, I can
Whereas John is just, well, I'm in a movie. It's like, yeah, enjoy it. I don't know if it's going to happen again. But yeah, he is so good and so
his
vulnerable
acting is
at times.
so subtle.
Almost transparent.
Yeah.
But Marion doesn't know she's looking at death, right now.
No.
And then completely cold, and clinical sometimes, and it's just
Well, and it's like before it's revealed, right? I hate to keep going back to that, but I don't know how else to describe it.
You
Maybe
feel
I don't.
betrayed by this movie.
Maybe
It fooled
yeah.
you.
Well, so he supposedly, so he murders Marion as dressed as his mother,
Yes.
as his mother. I think the psychologist, when they come in later, says that he has a split personality, or he couldn't deal with his mother's death, who he killed.
Right.
So he decided that she needed to live, and that was another way that she lived.
And just tracking just LGBTQ representation, or at least respect, in these two films. They make a point of saying he's not a transvestite.
They do.
Or a transsexual.
No.
But also go on to give their explanation at the time, but not like,
Right.
it's not one of these fruits or whatever. It's just,
No, it wasn't
the psychiatrist,
judgmental at
even though
all.
he is he's auditioning for something while he's doing this, but he's professional, and he's like, and he's not passing judgment.
No.
It's weird that this movie from 1960 is more woke about transsexuals than the movie
And
from 1980,
transgender,
but
yeah.
we'll get to that.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. But so Norman discovers Marion's body, right?
Yeah.
And it's as if like, oh, this horror, how could my mother do this? Because it's like he doesn't know it's him, like when he's like
Yeah,
his
no,
mother.
he's not acting for anybody.
No.
Yeah.
No. And so then like he's playing as the psychologist puts it, the dutiful son, and you feel like this hasn't happened before, but then we find out later that maybe it has.
Well, he says, drag that swamp. Who knows how many cars are in there?
Right. So, but he gets rid of her body, and it's not like this is not horrific for him. I feel like it is, but he's very clinical about it.
Yeah, no, yeah, he's practiced.
He's detached.
Yeah, you get the idea. He's done this before. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and there are just some interesting things in the way that he
Moves.
Just the subtleties when he's interacting with different characters, just like the slight weird smiles that he'll put on he has on his face like every once in a while, and you're like,
Sure.
well, that seems kind of sinister, but he seems like
He's not arch.
No,
Yeah.
but he comes across as being very trustworthy and like a nice person. You know what I mean?
Up until he, removes that painting from the wall, and there's a huge hole.
Yeah. Well, up
Spy
until
hole.
that point, yeah, exactly.
I love the fact that there is a Hitchcockian MacGuffin in this film. He invented them after all, and it's the money. And as the audience, we're tracking all the bits, of the movie up to this point. We're tracking the money. Where's that money? And the money's like, goes in the trunk. Trunk goes in the swamp. No more money.
Right. I mean, they take it out at the end, so
Yeah.
presumably it goes back to
I mean, the
guy,
MacGuffin is
but-
never anything of any real substance, like
Right.
it's a Maltese Falcon or it's a something like that. But,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, not only does Marion go in the car, the thing that we're using to get your interest goes in the car, and I just love the fact that when it fades out of the Norman thing and fades up on the next part, the hardware shop, you're like, okay, what's the movie about now?
I
Like,
know!
is this an in cold blood thing? Or are we gonna try to investigate the death of Marion? Like, what is it gonna be? And yeah, it's a great switch, and it's a brave jumping off point.
It
It's
is.
like, because I think that any old movie in the 60s you would be invested in, like, oh, maybe this guy's gonna chase her around the house, and then she's gonna get away somehow. And
You think
but
it's
that's
going to
not-
be about Marion,
that's
and
not
then
what it is.
and then she dies.
yeah.
And it's like what, halfway through?
And it's even kind of funny because, Norman, like you said, is rightfully shocked by what happens.
Yeah.
And he's kind of taking care of everything. And then we're kind of like, oh, he's forgot the money. And we're kind of like, oh, no, don't forget the money. Why am I helping him? And then like he drives the car in the thing and it starts to sink. And here's how we know he's a real maniac. He eats candy corn. Who likes candy corn? But he's kind of snacking on the thing, and the thing goes down. He's like, oh, no, it's not going down. And then it starts to go down, and he's like, oh, okay. It's
I
like
know.
a comedy beat.
I know it is.
After a brutal stabbing.
I know.
Yeah, I love it.
And
It's
like
so good.
the knife is like so huge and like menacingly like sharp and shiny, right?
You'd want a boning knife, right? You want to. Oh no, he's not going to dismember her though. So
No.
well, that went down
wow.
easy.
But like, I mean, it's interesting like how Hitchcock got away with this, right? Like he shows them He doesn't actually show the knife going into any of the victims. You get the idea.
You meant the scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a lot for the, Janet Leigh's got a little underwear on, but like that's
Right.
that was a lot to get away with. I thought you meant like The Secret. And there
The Secret too.
There were some things. Obviously, he didn't, let anybody write it in the review or something like that. And there was a thing about like I think you couldn't come in after the picture started. Or like any time before she's killed. I don't think that they would let people. I mean, somebody comes to a movie 20, 25 minutes in, I guess. But they did have some rule about that. They did go to an effort to keep it somewhat secret.
Well, like I
didn't
suppose,
get to you.
Right, I know. But I'm actually really glad that it didn't. I mean, I don't think it necessarily would have ruined the movie, but it was kind of nice and refreshing to be able to watch an older film and not know the twist ending, and watch it without knowing that and not have it spoiled for me.
Did you know
So
if it doesn't gel, it's not aspic?
Yeah, right?
Do you like?
Oh my gosh.
So this is how I know that the Nelson Mandela effect or the living in a simulation thing isn't real, because I've known about aspic for years, but you may have just heard that word about a week ago when we were talking about it on Sailor Noob. And then
that's not true. I've heard of it before, but it's
okay.
but
suddenly it appears in a film.
It's one of those things. It's not new to me, but
do you go to circuses and pop kids' balloons?
Be quiet.
Why not just have fun? Why not just be like, yeah, crazy, and then put a plug in for Sailor Noob, where we don't argue as much. What else is out there? How many more horror movies follow this exact? Did this plan exist, this framework before Psycho? Right?
I don't know.
You think about it. How many horror movies are like couples screwing at inspiration porn or whatever, and the monster kills them?
Yeah.
So something goes on, there's another victim. Somebody's trying to investigate, and a cop gets killed or something like that. And then it turns out at the end that it was one of the people in the movie all the time. It was that nobody knew.
That's true.
And
that does happen a lot.
Yeah, and it's and you're inside the house, and while you're inside the house, you're trying to escape, but you're also opening all these doors that are revealing everything. Like you go to Mother's room, then you go to Norman's room, and you're like, oh my God, and then, you know what I mean? Like Silence of the Lambs, like the last confrontation, she's trying to find Bill, but she keeps going into all the chambers in his dungeon and we're starting to see the insanity, of Buffalo Bill.
Right.
Another movie about a transsexual murderer.
Yeah. I feel like that happens.
I think we hit that a little much.
I think we do.
I think we hit that a little too much.
I think we do too.
Did you know that Norman Bates no longer exists?
No.
So, did he kill them? Yes. And no.
Yeah, right.
What's he auditioning for?
Yeah, I don't know. He went pretty hard.
Hey, he had one scene and he was going to do it.
Yeah.
I want to do 40 minutes on this because I don't think I can eat 20 minutes out of Dress to Kill, but I guess we can try.
All right.
I guess this spoils the TV show.
What? Bates Motel?
Well, it's kind of like Hannibal. It's like, well, okay, let's see the Red Dragon. And I've seen him in like a couple movies now, but I guess we can do this on the TV show.
Right.
And then in the movie, like, we finally parse out that, Norman killed the boyfriend and killed the mother maybe too. Mm-hmm. And now we get to see that in the probably last season of the AMC show.
Bates Motel. Yeah, right.
You not impressed?
How is a TV show that's new, that's a prequel, going to ruin the original thing?
I mean, maybe you thought that Norman was...
it ruined it for me. I see. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, but the existence of the movie kind of ruins the prequel TV show. That's why why do they make all these prequel TV shows?
I don't know. Because they're trying to... Yeah, screw you. Well, because they're trying to get more stuff out
Well, you know what really ruined this? The 1998 remake
of
Psycho, shot-for-shot remake in color by Gus Van Sant.
I must have...
Starring if you had a 90s Mount Rushmore of actors, this would be it. Mm-hmm. Vince Vaughn, William H. Macy, Julianne Moore, Viggo Mortensen, Anne Heche. I don't know who played the car salesman, but I bet it was somebody.
I'm sure
Probably
it was.
a 90s comedian or something.
It's just like... I mean, I know I probably heard of it like when it came out, but I certainly don't remember hearing about it now. And like then you tell me that it was like shot for shot, and I think we watched
the shower scene.
The shower scene, and I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
Why? Like, you're gonna remake something. What is the point of doing it?
He had that
shot for shot.
Goodwill Hunting money.
Yeah, but it just it's first of all, the original is a classic, so I don't understand the need or desire to redo.
Hitchcock couldn't do the shot where we spiral out of Marion Crane's dead eye.
I don't care.
So Gus Van Sant picked up the torch.
Yeah.
Now, you know how we talked about how Anthony Perkins wasn't like camp? Well, set Vince Vaughn loose on that role. He's super like arch the whole time.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
I don't think that he's a bad actor, but he did not get the direction to like not be just telegraphing that you're
the murderer,
a giggling psycho the whole time.
Right.
Yeah, not great. Last thoughts before we move on. Something a lot worse.
I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I like a lot of Hitchcock movies. I've seen a lot of them.
How does this compare?
I think it's way up there, honestly. It's definitely better than The Birds, which we watched. A couple of weeks ago.
And I wouldn't call like Hitchcock a plotty guy, but he does usually have a plot to move things along. Mm-hmm. You know, it's very psychological. There are always character studies, but nobody just like hangs around. Even in Rear Window, when they're hanging around,
right?
There's like, we got to get in there. We got to go. Oh, I think Raymond Burr saw us. And then there's all the little A, B, C, D, E, F stories of the people in the apartments and stuff like that too. Mm-hmm. So he's definitely like, I guess he is kind of a plot guy, but in a good way.
Right.
There's not much of a plot to this. A lady's killed, and then they try to find that lady, and they find out who the killer is.
Right.
The end.
Pretty much the end. Yeah, and I think you said before the third act is not as strong as the rest of the film, and I would agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just nowhere to go, really.
No.
I don't know. Okay, all right. We can't put it up any longer.
All right.
We got to talk about Dress to Kill from 1980.
Oh, boy.
Brian De Palma. How many De Palma movies are we going to do on this show?
I don't know how many.
I was thinking about this.
Yeah.
How many Michael Caine movies?
Yeah.
Because we've done a couple. There's another one. And then we did Scarface.
Yes.
We did Someday I Want to Do Carlito's Way.
Okay.
We're definitely going to do... I haven't seen Carrie, so we're doing Carrie for sure.
Oh, you haven't seen Carrie?
Yeah. Okay, that's how it feels.
Sorry, that was like one of our go-to movies.
And I kind of want to see
Blowout.
Blowout. I know it's not that good, but it's neither is this.
I've never even heard of that one.
We didn't watch The Untouchables for this, but that's a De Palma film. So De Palma, guy who makes classic films, by ripping off classic films. Speaking of Untouchables,
yeah.
And then he made this. What happens in Dress to Kill? What if Marion Crane was a prostitute? no, it'd be Lila Crane. Yeah, sorry, Lila Crane.
So, as in Psycho, we are led to believe that Angie Dickinson is, whose name I can't remember.
Doesn't matter.
Is the protagonist of this film. We're following her through her life and her day. She's
following people.
Yeah,
in
I
her
know.
life.
She's married. She has a teenage son who's into electronics and inventing stuff. And she goes to see her psychiatrist, who's played by Michael Caine. And I think it's Dr. Elliot. And then she goes to an art museum, and she's not happy in her marriage. So she's kind of thinking about cheating on her husband. She hasn't exactly shared that out loud, but that's what she's thinking. And she hooks up with this guy from the museum. That
leaves out so much.
How much do you... Okay,
there's like a 20-minute sequence.
Yeah, I know.
No, that's not 20 minutes, but where she's dropping her glove and she's walking around.
Picking it up again.
Chasing each other through the Met. And,
and he's like, has a pen in his mouth. It's just like, I don't know. That's supposed to be sexy? It's weird. And then like, he like... she gets into a cab with him because he beckons her with her glove that he had put on his hand. It's really weird. Also, this is probably a very big contender for horniest movie
I think
that
this
we've
is,
ever seen.
I mean, Brian De Palma equals sleazy.
Yeah.
But this might be the horniest movie we've ever seen.
I think it might be. So she gets into the cab with him. They have sex in the cab, and then they go back to his place, presumably have sex again. She finds out he has a venereal disease.
We're not going beat by beat. Come
Okay,
on,
all right.
You're not even through the first act.
All right. So she's about to leave, and she gets on the elevator. She
writes a note, but then she crumples it up and writes another note.
All right. She realizes she left her wedding ring in this guy's apartment, so she goes back up and she gets killed by somebody who looks like a blonde woman with a razor blade, and she is seen by somebody else who is in the apartment building. Gosh, what is her name?
Lewis from RoboCop.
Lewis from RoboCop, sure. Yeah. And Lewis from RoboCop notices that she sees somebody else in the elevator with her, a blonde woman. So she sees the killer. We don't have this much time. Okay, she somehow gets the razor blade out. It's like this whole thing.
No.
Angie,
say, every time I go to go faster, you slow down more. So cut through it here with a razor blade.
Okay.
Dennis Franz.
Angie Dickinson dies. They go to the police station. Lewis is trying to figure out who it is. They interview Michael Caine. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. The cop thinks it's one of his patients. He's like, I don't know. The son is...
I like your Michael Caine.
Yeah, thanks. I didn't really do one. Is like eavesdropping, and basically Lewis from RoboCop gets followed by the killer, and they attempt to kill her, but somehow
say they, just say she.
She whatever.
You're giving it all away.
You're making a big deal out of it. So the son like prevents it by spraying some like shaving cream in the killer's face.
Details.
They get chased. They're trying to find the killer, but they're getting chased by the killer, and it finally is revealed who the killer is.
Yeah, no third act. That's fine. It's Michael Caine.
It's Michael Caine.
The killer rips off the wig and says, I'm Michael Caine.
Yeah, right. And
then a psychiatrist comes out and explains
right?
everything, and the psychiatrist is the mayor from Ghostbusters.
I thought he looked familiar. Couldn't place him though.
And then because we had to inspire Wes Craven, the killer comes back and kills her, but it's all a dream.
Was that entire sequence when he was in the institution?
When he's in the Duran Duran video mental hospital?
Yeah.
That's probably all a dream.
I think that's probably all a dream too. Yeah.
Double sigh.
Yeah. What a mess.
What your recap of the movie?
I know.
You did the best you could. It's a crazy movie that opens with.
Oh my god.
Policewoman jerking off in the shower.
Angie Dickinson was policewoman? Is that what, okay.
Yeah. in her own dream. This movie opens and closes with dreams.
Yep.
And am I wrong that the man shaving at the mirror, a lot of razor imagery in this movie, was Michael Caine for at least at one shot?
I thought so, but then I was like second guessing myself.
But then it's like her husband.
Yeah, because she's totally turned on by Michael Caine. We get that.
Do you know how we know?
Because of that movie.
Because it spends about 5 minutes tracking all over her naked body.
Yeah, I know.
And that's not her naked body, but somebody's naked body.
Right.
And then she's, grabbed by a man or somebody in the shower. So there's a lot of... I get that for a bored housewife who wants to be liberated from her crappy second marriage, I think.
Yes.
And also her, sexual frustration. I get that, being sexual, acting on those things. There's no Ashley Madison back then. is
No.
scary.
Yeah.
But she has a dream where she's basically like attacked and raped in the shower.
Mm-hmm.
And then also she meets this weirdo, finally like has some sex with him and enjoys it. Will die in about 2 minutes
Yep.
for having sex,
Right.
like in a horror movie.
Right.
But before then, have to make sure she sees the doctor's report that this guy has syphilis and gonorrhea. And it
know.
says on the doctor's report,
Yes.
which is not a letter that was mailed to him. This is something that like would go in a patient's file. It says,
Yeah. It's
"You
typed
have
up.
a venereal disease," and it's exclamation point.
Which is so like, I don't know, man. Of all the far-fetched stuff that's
So
in
it's
this
just
movie,
like-
that's pretty far-fetched,
Look, I was thinking about this when we were watching this. 1980 was still the 70s.
more or less. Yes.
It was. It literally was mathematically, but also like it was in terms of, you know, attitudes in films, and everybody's like, "Oh, we all going to get a piece of this, you know, key party that is life or whatever."
Mm-hmm.
I saw a movie. Michael Crichton, I think his first movie was Great Train Robbery, off his book Westworld. Early movie by Crichton called Looker. In
Okay.
Looker, Albert Finney, 65-year-old Albert Finney, sleeps with like 23-year-old Susan Day, and they both are like, "Oh, she wouldn't be 23 at that point. She'd be in her late 20s, maybe early 30s." And they're both like, "Oh, this is kind of a, you know, January, December romance," but it's never questioned because, hey, everything's cool, baby. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's what's suffusing this. I don't know if De Palma got laid in the 60s/70s, but I know he wishes he did.
Right.
I know he didn't get laid enough
Right.
to cure him of whatever's wrong with him.
It's a horny movie.
But I just don't know why. I know that she's, you know, the Marion Crane character.
Yes.
But why does she have to be punished for just acting on these very natural desires?
Well-
She's coming on to Michael Caine,
Yeah.
which all fits into the movie because he
Yeah.
kills her for being attracted to him.
Right.
And him being attracted to her.
Yes.
This is a mess.
Which
And-
is also, we didn't talk about this, but that's a reference to Psycho as well.
Yeah, because Norman doesn't know how to deal with his feelings.
Yeah, and the psychologist is like, well, he was
No,
turned on by
but-
your sister.
No, Brian De Palma stole everything from Psycho. No, I
Yep.
get it. I get
Yep.
it. So I don't know why they had to do that. It seems really sadistic.
I agree with you. Like, she's already, like, why give her venereal disease and then murder her as well?
Yeah.
Like, you're already going to murder her. Why put the STD on there as well? But,
So she
yeah.
could die unhappy. So yeah, I mean, it's sleazy, it's pulpy. We were talking about. I was looking for like, you know, the signature Brian De Palma, Dutch angles and camera moves. I don't know where. I guess I don't have a real timeline of De Palma in my head, although I have seen a lot of his movies, except for Carrie. But he definitely loves moving that camera around and letting it do whatever it wants. And so there are some record slow pans
There are.
in this.
Very.
And I think I
very
commented that, like, Brian De Palma, I'm just guessing, went to USC film school or whatever. Like, on the first day, the guy's like, "So, this is the swivel, and it makes the camera move any direction." Brian, wait, come back! There's so much more to learn! And he's just like, woo!
Yeah, because... well, all right. I guess I'll go into this now. So
Ooh.
she's getting chased by... Later we found out there's a blonde lady cop who we had never met
we
before.
don't. No, we don't find that out. It'd be like in Psycho if...
Okay.
Well, actually, there's no real misdirect in Psycho, I guess, but, like, not only is there a character that shows up in the third act, like, "Hi, I'm going to explain everything," but also there's another lady that looked like the killer lady who you've been watching this entire movie without knowing it, and she shows up at the end and has no lines.
Yes. Yeah, okay. But so she and then she's traced by the actual killer, and she escapes into the subway station, and so she's trying to be by other people, so there's not an opportunity for the killer to kill her. And she goes over by these two black guys who happen to be listening to a boombox, and
Which
I
is
think
not playing.
You mentioned the type of
It's like-
music that it was playing. It's
like
like, why would they be
disco
listening
easy
to
listening.
this?
But I don't mean to profile, but this movie does.
Yeah, and then this movie gets weird and racist, and like other guys who are, I guess, are with them show up, and
it's okay because the cop that she runs to, who doesn't help her, was black.
Yeah, why is that okay? Who doesn't help her? Yes, exactly.
Yeah, this movie is sexist, racist, and very insensitive to transgender people.
Yes.
And also mental illness. So
I would agree with all those things.
Hit for the cycle.
Yeah, but for some reason they're really bothered by the fact that she's like standing right next to them, which okay, I guess is a little weird. But then they're like threatening her and like they're like, you're bothering us, we're gonna attack you, and like basically insinuating that we're gonna rape you too. And I'm like, what? Where is this coming from? Why? And then you said this isn't even really motivated. And then they get on the train. She gets on with the cop.
She needs a reason to be running. We need to forget about the killer for a second, and she needs a reason to be running. So, she's accosted by black youths.
But it's
which is a stock
really
conflict in
horrible
bad scripts.
Yeah. But then like she gets on the train. She's telling the cop what's going on. He doesn't believe her. Okay, fine, whatever. Not great, but.
Oh, she's been a prostitute this whole time. Did we mention that?
I don't think we've mentioned that
yeah.
yet.
Sorry. Super important.
She's an escort.
Yeah.
But
she's
and
she's
we don't
a sex
feel
worker.
like you don't get you don't necessarily get the idea that she needs it for the money, or maybe she's well off.
No.
See, this
is the thing. She's a yuppie sex worker because she has a broker.
Yeah.
Which we discover when we're in that split screen scene, which is not paced in any way that you can follow one or the other. You were just assaulted by two different scenes
noise
that are not particularly important. One of them is her setting up a job so she can get some money. She's going to use that money to invest in this stock that her last John tipped her to. That's what's going on there, and not important. It's not like there's a scene where she goes and meets that guy, but she immediately leaves, an hour later or whatever. So he is never important to anything. It just gets her out of the house. And then Michael Caine is like watching a Donahue episode about a trans man who's talking about a woman who's talking about her experiences. And he's just like, okay. And it doesn't I don't know. You can't tip us off to anything. You need your twist to be a twist.
Right.
And they kind of both happen to have the TV on and it's the same program. But it's not shot in a way where they merge. It does anything cool. They're two scenes that compete with each other.
Yeah, I was not a fan. I was just gonna say,
5 minutes.
The shots on the subway with the cop, that was really weird and confusing. The reverse shots.
I don't know what they were going with.
Yeah.
Do you like the plucky kid? Why do movies want to always put like a plucky kid with a hooker with a heart of gold?
I don't know. It's weird.
Maybe
it's really weird.
Maybe we're seeing that invented right here. I don't know, but it's.
I mean, it's entirely possible, but I guess the kid's kind of ingenious, right? But with like his ideas and like trying to find the killer and everything. But I kind of also like wonder like how he knows all this stuff. Like, how did he know?
Well, your question was answered. You kept stopping the movie and asking me.
I know
questions, and I'm like, you're asking about details that aren't important at all. But you'd had one important detail was. About the fact that the kid, put a camera outside of the psychiatrist's office so he could check out the patients and see if one of them was the person. And we did see the suspect coming out
Bobby,
of the thing.
We found out their name was,
Right.
Yeah.
But Bobby is Michael Caine.
Yes.
Now, we don't see Bobby go in.
No.
Just come out. So maybe that was like a thing. But my thing is that I guess I didn't think about the fact that it was Michael Caine, but that clearly was not a woman the entire movie.
Yeah.
So I just figured it was part of the effery that, at this point, I love to figure out movies, but I just went, all right, movie, just give it to me.
But you knew.
I just moved my head back and forth like this.
I'm really enjoying
just let the movie give it to me.
Moving my head back and forth, that means I'm really enjoying it.
I just did that bit.
Yeah, I know.
Not a lot of time left.
Okay.
He's got a mirror on his desk to remind him that he's Michael Caine.
It's weird. It's really weird. It's just kind of gross.
Her big plan is we're going to go to this guy's place. Now we don't even know. There's we've stopped at one point. There was a half an hour left, and she goes, with credits, and she goes to Michael Caine's office.
Yeah.
The only reason we're doing this, he's just been floating around the movie. I mean, just by that you should know
That's who he's.
There's
the
a
killer.
string to pull here,
Right.
right? And the whole thing is, all she needs to do is just look at his patient book, like his appointment book. It's all she has to do.
Right.
So to do it, she goes through half a session with a psychiatrist.
Yep.
Then strips and tries to seduce him.
Yep.
And at the end of all that, it's like, I'm going to go powder my nose
Yeah.
/ rifle through your desk.
Yeah.
She doesn't know. It's ironic because she doesn't know that she is, orchestrating her own death.
No.
But yeah, it's nuts. You want to talk about pacing?
Mm-hmm.
There is no tension at all up until the point that she walks back into a darkened room, and it's like, I was only 16 years old. And the worst part is,
I know.
The worst part is, I think he helping. Brian De Palma thinks that he's helping.
I know.
Because he has the mayor from Ghostbusters talk about, and this is not how it works, but talk about the fact that there are 2 wolves inside of him or whatever, and one of them wants to wear a dress. And it's like, well, that's not really how it works, but okay. And then later on, there's a little bit more of a more what do I want to say? A more understanding conversation between Nancy Allen and the kid.
Yes.
Because he's like, so what? So he likes wearing clothes. She's like, no. He's going to become a woman. That's what he wants to do. But then we go into like a weird graphic description of gender reassignment surgery.
Right.
And we have a bit where we bothered to put a diopter on so we can focus on the old biddies behind the kid.
I know.
And they're like throwing up into their napkins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's like,
why are you doing
I
that?
honestly believe that you think that you're helping here because you're
not.
trying to educate an audience about. But it's not
But
Michael
then
Caine in a
why
wig.
put-
That's not what it is.
But then why put somebody, like you said, in the background who's throwing up, hearing about it? That's not helping.
No.
And you're putting a judgment on this.
And then and that's not even. I said the end. That's not the end of the movie.
No, it's not.
Because as all that's going on, then it's like, oh, my parents are out of town. Why don't you come stay with me? And it's like, well, this is a prequel to Risky Business. And then we go in and to the kid's house.
Yeah.
And she's taking a shower because we gave you that $50,000, so we're going to see those titties.
Right.
And we're going to do. It's almost like De Palma's like saying, we have 2 shower scenes in my movie. Take that, psycho.
It does feel that way.
Screw
yes.
you.
Yeah.
Screw you, Alfred.
Yeah.
And then it leads to nothing.
No, because it was all a dream.
Yeah.
Because when we see Michael Caine in the incredibly unrealistic
Well, it's a dream.
Bellevue, I know.
It's a dream. I wanted to read the Rotten Tomato scores for this because this is 81% on Rotten Tomatoes, which
How is that possible?
is because here's why. And De Palma, his entire career, and he's still alive. He's probably still making movies. Was defended by Roger Ebert and Pauline Kael. They liked him.
Oh, okay.
Roger
Brian De Palma
Pauline Kael.
stands.
I don't know why. She was very contrary. Although I like Pauline Kael, but she loved taking the other track.
Sure.
And Roger Ebert, wrote Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. Like he liked pulp cinema and stuff like that, and so
Sure.
maybe he saw a kindred spirit there, or the type of film that he liked for escapism. So I think like everybody's like, oh, well, I like it.
I just think maybe it's one of those films. Maybe when it came out, it was really cutting edge and biting and really saying something. But I
think everybody was horny.
Yeah, that could be. But I feel like now with our more social conscientious goggles on and just
Do you have goggles on?
Yeah, well, I just we're way more woke about like. I'm speaking in general, but about
the gay people aren't villains.
Right.
Let's close it up with that.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see you next week.
Boogie, woogie, blue. I wanna